ended up repainting everything and changing the entire look of it. I was able to cram an actual mattress in here. I do have a hanging closet back here, which is really nice. Hi, I'm Lindsay. This is my van, Mickey. Let's go take a tour. Welcome to my living space / kitchen area. So over here we have my sink. It's a decent size. It fits enough dishes I can hide them away from time to time. But this area was initially going to be where my stove is going to go. I was going to build it into the counter, but I wanted more counter space, and so I decided to just do a stove I can take out and use. I'm not huge on cooking. That's kind of why I went with this option versus having the set stove. So it gives me more counter space, and then when I'm not using it, I put it away, which is really nice to get it out of the way. And then the rest of this is more my kitchen. So I've got silverware in here, the typical junk drawer that everyone has, even when you're in a van. And then other food storage and pots and pans storage down here. And over here is my dishes and things that I use, plates, cups that I use all the time. And this is toiletries up here in a basket. And I have this nice little spot to sit here. I initially wanted to make a table that pulled out, but with how tall my fridge is, it didn't really work out with how tall my bed is and how tall the bench is. So I ended up not going that route. But I do have the bench here, and then underneath is my fridge. And it just unhooks and it's on drawer slides and it pulls out. And it's a little top open fridge. Lots of space. Plenty of space for me. And then under here is my gray water tank. I have 22 gallons of fresh water tank that I have a fill-up valve for just on the other side of the sink, and it's stored underneath my bed. And then this is a 7-gallon gray water tank. So when I made this van, I tried to use as much reusable things as I could. So the cabinets were all found in an old barn that I repurposed, and then the countertops were from a friend who does construction who was going to throw them out. So that's why they're kind of the way that they are. And this one has a nice like curve shape. And so I have a little stool that I can pull out and sit at it like it's a countertop. So I tend to sit here and eat and like work on stuff. I've always really loved traveling. My mom got me into traveling. She studied abroad when she was younger, and she always told me, hey, Lindsay, you need to do this. It was the best experience ever. So when I was in college, I studied abroad, and I feel like that's really what got me into traveling and wanting to see other places. And then after I graduated college, my friends and I took a month-long road trip kind of around the western United States, and we lived out of a truck for a month. I absolutely loved it. It was a blast, and that kind of got me into the whole living out of a vehicle situation. And then I decided to go into nursing. And one of the things that I think is really cool about nursing is you can do travel nursing. So I decided if there's a way that I could do the whole live out of vehicle and travel nurse, that would be great. So I kind of got into van life then, did all sorts of research, and thought it was the perfect way to travel around the country working, but then also getting to live out of a vehicle and do as much exploring as I could. I bought the van for around $16,000. I was buying it at the end of 2020 during the whole COVID market, and I had a really hard time finding a decent van with low miles for a decent price. So this was kind of the best I could come up with. And then I think I spent about a year converting it, and I probably put about $10,000 into it between the build, between some engine upgrades, and all the electrical and everything. So I would say about 10 grand, so 26,000 in total. So last year when I first did this van, I had a whole different layout and decor in here. I never really got around to adding things to the walls or anything because I was kind of in a hurry getting to my first travel nursing assignment. So these repurposed cabinets, I was having issues with the wood falling off of them. So I ended up repainting everything and changing the entire look of it. And with that came finally adding some stuff to my walls. So I kind of started with this bug picture. One of my best friends drew it for me. She's super talented, and I've always loved it. It sat in my room at home, so I thought it would be cool to add into this space. And then from that, it kind of turned into this natural decoration area. So these were just some antlers that I found at the pasture by my house. And I found this in a store somewhere. And then we just started adding in little bits and pieces to it to make it all come together. So it's been kind of fun to have actual like decorations in a van. It made it feel much more homey versus last year it was just all white walls. So I've really enjoyed having a little more customized space, and it's just been really comfortable. So this is my bed. It is a full-size bed. I was able to cram an actual mattress in here. It's very tight. It's hard to make the bed, but it's so comfortable. I'm very glad I went with that option. And then up here, it's just more storage. I've got clothes in baskets, which is really nice. Keeps everything from falling out, keeps it all organized. And of course, gotta have a fan. This thing's a lifesaver. I sleep during the day a lot because I'm a night shift nurse, and it makes a huge difference with airflow. So my only issue with this area is at night when I'm sleeping, I don't have a great place to set my phone, set my water bottle. I wondered if at some point I could add in some sort of fold down tray of some sort, just to have that option to set stuff on, but that is in the works. I would recommend adding something like that if you were doing a similar setup. I am a traveling nurse. I travel to different areas of the country for a couple months at a time and live out of my van doing it. And the way that happens is I work with different travel companies, and I say, I want to go to Colorado or I want to go to Oregon, and they find me contracts in the area. I get my nursing license in that state, and then they kind of submit me to that contract, and you just take contracts. Usually they're about 13 weeks at a time. I tend to extend because I usually, once you get into a hospital and you learn it and you enjoy being there, you want to stay for longer. So I usually extend my contracts and make them longer than 13 weeks, but that's pretty typical. I've had a lot of fun. This is contract number 4 that I'm on now, and I've loved every second of it. So this is my garage area. I kind of designed it so I could access everything I need from the inside, because I don't like to come back here and open this up very often. So I try to be kind of inconspicuous when I'm camping, so it keeps me from having to access it that way. So I just have random, travel gear and things, some nursing stuff. I have an inflatable kayak. That's been fun. Used it once, so I need to do that more. And then I have my solar setup back here. So I have 200 watts of solar on the top, and then I have 200 amp hours of lithium ion batteries in here. It does a good job keeping everything running. I haven't had too many issues. Most of my battery I do feel like comes from my alternator, so I have a setup so when I drive I can charge my batteries. I will say if I am parked for several days or I'm not moving around a lot, my solar doesn't always keep up the best with everything, but usually I'm on the go enough, I don't have that problem. And if I think about it, I'll just get in my car and drive or run the engine for a little bit if I have to. So that's been really good. I do have a hanging closet back here, which is really nice. I'm able to hang up my scrubs. That was the biggest thing, is having a space for those. So I have a couple things hung up there, and then just a set of drawers with some extra clothes and things. I have a way to fill up my water. I have a hose that fills up in the front, but if I ever need to get water from somewhere, I have an extra thing there. Otherwise, just some miscellaneous tools, and that's that. So I've been on the road since last January, kind of on and off with my different assignments, and I still feel like I get a lot of questions. Is it safe? Do you have any issues? Are there any problems? I'd say for the most part, I have not had any issues. I think there's this balance of being very aware of your surroundings and kind of knowing where you're at night or where you're staying, but also not being too nervous to kind of get out there and experience life, I guess. I do have a pretty, I think, low-key build. I don't have windows. I try to go in and out of the front. I try to not let people know that I'm in there. and I feel like that helps me have a little more peace of mind. But all in all, I've been at it again for like a year and a half, and I've never had any issues, and I've enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. If you want to follow along on my van life travel nurse journey, my Instagram is Lindsey Keyser. I'll see you all on the road.